It's time we talked about the MCU and the ever-growing toxicity within the fandom, specifically the hate and anger geared towards the women of the MCU. Let's begin. So nerdrotic is someone we've talked about before, and he is, in my opinion, the person currently leading this woman-centered attack on the MCU. I don't know if he coined this term, but I've definitely seen it used the most by him, but he refers to the MCU as the MSHU, which is very creative and obviously pokes fun at how there are more and more female characters coming into the MCU, which is a very bad thing. It's a horrible, life-threatening, apocalyptic trend that's ruining the movie industry as we know it. It's exactly the same as how people of color are coming into our lands and killing off the white race. At least that's what I imagine these fuckers sound like inside their own heads. That was of course satire, people, don't take it seriously. However, let's look at some examples. So nerdrotic retweeted this picture and wrote his famous quote. It'll probably be on his tombstone at this point, but it's a photo of Valkyrie and Jane Foster in the upcoming Thor movie, which I'm personally very excited about. However, he apparently isn't because he's scared of women in positions of power. He also tweeted this of him being angry that there are new female characters in pictures next to the fan favorite male characters that we all love. Oh, this is so fucking woke. Please, if you can figure out why he's upset, let me know down in the comments because I'm at a complete loss. Oh, and a throwback to the photo of Jane Foster because here he shows why he's actually upset at that photo. He likes it when women are objects for him to look at, and hey, there's nothing wrong with finding a man or a woman or anyone else hot. Human attraction is completely natural. However, this is just weird, especially because these types of people always go on and on about how it's unrealistic that women in superhero movies or just fictional movies in general are super strong but don't have massive muscles. And while this is a stupid argument on its own, it gets even more stupid when they say shit like this. I understand now that he just doesn't care about female characters unless they show a lot of skin, and don't try to do anything that could take away from the male character's spotlight. However, let's look at some examples from his YouTube videos, and oh boy, it's hard to choose when there's so many bangers such as Disney panics, Obi-Wan Kenobi is awful, or Female Thor, Love and Thunder, more cringe MCU bait and switch from Disney Marvel. I love how they're calling it Disney Marvel as if Disney hasn't owned the MCU since the beginning. Oh, and how could I forget, Doctor Strange 2 is an unmitigated MCU disaster. But for now, I want to quickly show you some clips from this video titled Moon Knight is another Disney Marvel disaster. And let's just watch the first 30 seconds of this video to see how he starts his totally not biased review of Moon Knight.
Bob Chapek bumbling, the groomers grappling, and the stock sinking. Disney Marvel needed a hit. Unfortunately, they didn't get one. What if I told you Disney Marvel did it again? Another bait and switch. Our hero in the Moon Knight show not only got her own origin story, but she got her own hero moment as she saved our titular character Moon Knight twice in his own finale.
At least he's not hiding his reasons for not liking this show. That's pretty cool. We don't even have to go digging to find the sexism. No, but honestly, no self-respecting movie reviewer spends this much energy counting the times a woman saves a man, has to mention diversity when it comes up, and calls a female character bad just because she's female without actually explaining why her character is bad except for the word bland.
Not only does Khonshu want her to be his next avatar, Tawati wants her too. She doesn't need to be an avatar for any god or goddess. She is a fierce, independent woman. I mean, aside from the fact that she's an uninteresting Marvel female person actor, I forgot Layla not only saves Moon Knight a couple of times this episode, she saves Khonshu, who immediately wants her as his avatar. Of course, she says no. Forget all that because we're here for the Scarlet Scarab origin story. Now, the Scarlet Scarab is a villain from an Invaders comic from the 70s. He was originally a dude, but this is the MCU, so of course they gender swap him into Hawkgirl, who again saves Stephen Grant and Mark Spector multiple times, Moon Knight at least 2 times in this episode, and frees Khonshu. Oh, there's one more. She also is the one who knows how to re-imprison Amit.
The power of this room will help us bind Amit to Harrow's body. Quick, grab my hand so we can start the spell.
Like, how does he not hear that he sounds like a whiny child who feels threatened that women can be good at things? It's not like Mark and Steven aren't still the main characters who have so many great character moments, and yes, while it may not be like how it is in the comics, their story still works really well for this show. And if you don't think that that's the case, then explain why you think that instead of just crying about how it's a bait and switch. Yes, Stephen Grant in this show is a bit of a loser in the beginning. That's the point. He's not as badass, ruthless, or effective as Mark is. However, Steven is compassionate, he's intelligent, he's nerdy, but he's also brave when it comes down to it. They're two sides of the same coin, or maybe a three-sided dice. But they don't know that yet, of course. However, Mark and Steven are absolutely the main stars of this show, and yes, Layla is a great side character in my opinion, because obviously a show needs multiple characters. I really can't take this video seriously because we know full well that his motivation to make this video is to further his own agenda against this supposed MCU, to call out Marvel's agenda, and of course gets sucked off by his incel leeches who are frightened by the existence of women. I also saw this video by the Critical Drinker in which he breaks down why he thinks Marvel is messing up and how they're building up Ms. Marvel. However, just keep in mind that he made this video when only the trailer had released. This is the thing that annoys me about the Critical Drinker because he's not actually a bad film critic. His videos can be interesting and insightful. He definitely structures his reviews and builds them up in a way that allows for claims and argumentation, way more so than his fandom and his friends do. However, he just can't help but infuse his reviews with his reactionary ideology. And yes, he has every right to do this, but I don't agree with his politics and I think he could do so much better, so I call him out for it. But for example, in this video he starts off by giving his take on why Iron Man worked so well in the MCU, and it's interesting. However, then he goes on to look at how Ms. Marvel has neither of the properties that made Tony Stark great, based only off the trailer. And listen, I'm fine with speculation, but I think this is just a bit too obvious what his intentions are. The thing is, the Critical Drinker probably isn't the intended audience for this show. Not everything Marvel makes needs to be for everyone. Don't get me wrong, adults can absolutely enjoy media made for younger audiences, but if you don't resonate with the story or characters, then maybe that's okay. Kamala Khan doesn't need to be like Tony Stark to be a great hero or a great character, and more importantly, a character that resonates with a lot of people. But to make a deep character dissection based on a trailer is almost idiotic, especially when you know that this show is going to be unfairly judged by so many people before even coming out, just because it's a superhero show about a Muslim teenage girl. I just don't like the way he's framing this video, and I see it as part of this growing trend going against, as they call it, Disney Marvel. Let's just watch a clip from the video and you can form your own opinion about him.
The difference here is that Steve's ambitions were born out of a desire to help people, serve his country, and make a difference to the world. He didn't volunteer to become Captain America so he could become powerful, desirable, and famous. He did it because it was the only way he could fight for what he believed in. But with Kamala, there's no real higher goal or desperate situation forcing her to pull herself up to be something better. Her origin is one of envy, jealousy, avarice, and self-serving ambition. Just fame for fame's sake. It's the same kind of mentality that makes millions of vacuous, untalented kids flock to TikTok, or even worse, YouTube. All desperately trying to catch that wave of fame and success, because the terrifying prospect that their lives might not be anything particularly special is like sunlight to a fucking ginger person.
I really just wish he'd lean more into the things that he's actually good at, because he does have interesting things to say. He just also has some really problematic things to say too, and I think his fanbase gobbles that shit up, so he can't help but make more of that content. Anyways, enough with the examples, let's dive into a little discussion on this whole situation with the MCU. Now, the argument that why can't they make original female characters instead of having to turn male characters female is a statement where I see at least some resemblance of a relevant argument. I don't agree, but it is true that we're getting a female Thor, a female Hulk, a female Loki, a female Black Panther, and we've previously gotten a female Iron Man. Now some of these are ridiculous to get mad at, like Pepper Potts and Black Panther. I mean, War Machine is also just another Iron Man by that logic. Like, there are multiple suits. They aren't what makes the hero. And also the Black Panther is a title given, it's not T'Challa's by right, it just goes to the next one. However, I do understand the annoyance that some people have that a lot of female characters being made are just the female versions of already established male characters. However, this is an argument I see way more from actual feminists or people who truly care about female representation. A lot of women don't want to see themselves as just the opposite version of a man. All people are unique, so why can't women in media also be unique and have their own personalities and character flaws? That's at least the sound argument, and one that I absolutely understand. It's the same argument as with token characters. People don't like when representation is just used to market a film or TV show, but then those diverse characters are incredibly shallow and fall too much into stereotypes. That's also a reasonable thing to get mad at. However, pretty much all of these anti-SJWs and reactionaries online who make this argument that they don't want female versions of the same character, but would love original and unique female characters, they're They're the same people who shit on pretty much every new and original female hero that comes out of Marvel. And when I say original, I don't mean that they're made for the MCU, but rather not something like She-Hulk. But literally anytime a female character does anything sort of good in one of these properties, instead of being just a love interest or damsel in distress, then these people fucking cry and scream about it. Oh, Layla from Moon Knight fights off a monster and saves Mark on a couple of occasions. That's woke. Oh, and when Captain Marvel does something really powerful, who by the way is clearly shown to be extremely powerful, and we've even shown how she got those powers, then they still cry about it. If Kate Bishop knows martial arts after 12 years of practice, and it's still a Mary Sue moment. Bro, Miss Marvel hadn't even come out yet, and some of these people still made videos shitting on the show, and we all know the reason why. Also, just FYI, all these characters like Jane Foster, She-Hulk, they're mostly all well-established heroes in the comics. Like, even though I understand the argument some people have towards them, they're still good characters and they have distinct personalities. However, another common trend that I've seen is that these people refer back to older heroines from the classics, such as Princess Leia, Ellen Ripley, you know, those badass women from the good old days. However, they're not fooling anyone. We all know that if those movies had been made today, then these plebs would get angry all the same. Now, I'm not going to make the age-old mistake of implying that these people hate all women, because I'm certain that they love women. Well, at least women who they find attractive and who aren't trying to be successful. However, they also sure do have a negative bias towards women, because no one who acts like this doesn't in some way have unattended to feelings of contempt, fear, hatred even. I don't know. There could be a lot of reasons, but I often get people telling me, actually, you're wrong. My adoptive dad doesn't hate women, because he liked Vi from Arcane. So your argument is completely false. They don't hate women, they just hate wokeness and how women are always thrown down our faces. Keep women out of my media, but also I'm not sexist. That's pretty much how it goes. And I don't think it's very telling that the best argument I've heard towards the critical drinker not having a problem with women is that he liked Vi from Arcane. That doesn't really explain why he gets pissy and annoyed so often when women are at the forefront in anything. Brie Larson. Anyways, I feel like I've been rambling a lot this video. At the end of the day, Marvel will keep introducing more female characters into the MCU, and these people will keep whining about it. As always, I'm not trying to insinuate that you can't criticize the MCU, because you absolutely can. Perhaps people will disagree with you and challenge you on your reasons, but that's part of what makes disagreeing so much fun. I think people like Nerdrotic are attention-seeking, agenda-driven, women-fearing, reactionary chuds who hate on so many of the things that other people like, and they like to make being a fan of something miserable for other people. See, some people will agree with that assessment, others will disagree, and that's the beauty of freedom, baby. So go on and let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm excited for this one. If you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to follow me on Twitter for more of that juicy content, and go check out my Patreon to support me further. As always, I want to give a huge thanks to my lovely Patreons, including our turf captain, Ben Joseph. Also, shout out to Captain Cool for no reason except for him being a lovely viewer. But other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, stay safe, and peace out.